Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series on professional communication. Today we shall be discussing the topic communication. Let's see what is communication. So communication is letting the other party understand what exactly do you mean to convey. Communication is it is a process, right? And whenever we call something a process, it would mean that we have an input to it and we desire a certain output out of it. Now, the moment you have an input, you want an output, and that input goes into stages to form that output. This particular chain is termed as a process. That is why we can call communication as a process. So, communication being a process would involve two parties, a minimum. What will be the two parties? One will be the sender, the person who has the information, and the other party would be the receiver who receives that information that is sent by by the sender. Now, in between, I am the sender of the information. I have some information with me. I want to send it across to you. Now, I will have to choose some means using which I can float this information that I have to you. So this becomes a process. The ultimate motive of this particular process is that whatever the sender has in mind, the same way the information has to reach the receiver. The same way would mean with the same meaning. The meaning during the process should not change. So this is the crux of communication, that it is a bridge between confusion and clarity. Initially, the receiver would have certain confusions related to the the topic. For example, if I have to discuss this topic, maybe if I only tell you that this is the topic for today and that is it, I don't tell you anything about it, you'll be confused as to what exactly will we be doing in communication, whether this is communication based on electronics, wherein we are using modems and internet and etc to float the information across, or maybe what kind of an communication is, or is it only the oral communication that we are talking and discussing things? Is it that we are writing things and floating it across? So what exactly is communication? That will be a confusion in your mind. If I give you this clarity, that confusion here would this communication here would mean that we'll be doing verbal also, which will include words, both oral and written. Will include non-verbal also, which would not include words, but yes, without using words we'll be able to communicate the meaning that we have. So this, if I'm giving you this clarity, means I have communicated whatever I had in my mind. I have communicated that across to you and you've well understood it, and we're on the same page now. Therefore we call it as a bridge between confusion and clarity. And of course, this is nothing but exchange of meanings. So we can call communication as exchange of ideas, exchange of language, but then the main intention behind making a communication is the other party should understand well in the same way in which you wish to make the other party understand as to what exactly are you trying to convey. If the meanings are clear, we would definitely call it communication. Otherwise, we would not call it communication. Suppose I have some information and I am uh, a person who knows English only as the language, and you happen to be another party who's not aware of English language, right? You don't know what English is. How do you don't understand English, you only maybe understand French. Now, if I'm trying to explain the things to you, for example, this particular slide that I'm explaining, I have a message, I am trying to communicate that message, I'm choosing a certain means to communicate that particular information to you. But though you're receiving that information, you're not understanding it, because that does not happen to be your language. You understand only French, I'm talking in English. So unless you use certain mediator or certain tool that will translate my English into French, you will not be able to understand anything. Therefore, it is not just the exchange of ideas, it is not just the exchange of thoughts, it is the exchange of meanings. The other party must be able to understand well what exactly did the speaker or the sender had to say. That is what we'll call a communication. Now, it is not only the exchange of meanings that we will be focusing on here. We also will be focusing on effective communication. Effective communication would be that one, the meaning of the content that the sender has should be clear to the receiver. That is the first and the foremost thing. Also, we would also make it effective in a way that it will use less of time, less of energy, receiver will understand it, and then once the receiver is understood, then the sender should be given back some information that yes, I've understood this information that you floated across. Otherwise, if I'm only talking and giving the information to you, and if I'm not taking that feedback that whether did you understand the thing that I was trying to explain or not, this particular communication would not be called as effective, because I don't know whether my audience has understood the concept well or not. Therefore, effective communication would involve a closed loop. Communication may be, it could be an open loop thing. That sender has an information, the information is, suppose I have some information, I'm sending somebody with that information to you, you receive that information, my work is done, I have exchanged the meaning. But whether have you understood the meaning of that message, or whether if I had to give you some deadline, you've received that deadline, but whether will it be feasible for you to do that work within that deadline or not, I am not aware of that as a sender, because I have done my duty and I've forgotten it. So this is not communication. To make it effective, I will have to send this person back, the person who got me the message. I will just read it, read the message. If it is feasible, if I've understood it well, I will just communicate it through that person again using some means that yes, I've understood it, the work will be done. And now the sender, the messenger will reach the sender, and the sender knows that okay, the loop is now complete. I need not do anything, that the rest of the things depend upon the receiver. The receiver will do it and send it back, right? So this is how we'll make communication effective. The mantra of effective communication here would be that you need to speak to express, not to impress. It is not for impressions. We've been saying that first impression is the last impression. That is true, of course, I'm not denying it, but that impression is never made by using those heavy, fancy words. You will maybe, for once, you would say that, oh God, this particular person has such good vocabulary. But if you've not understood the meaning of that word that the person would have used, that vocabulary was not of any use to you. You had to open the dictionary, maybe consult an online dictionary, and then go through the word, search for the word, if you remember it correctly, because you hadn't heard of it ever. So fair chance that you would, if it was only an oral communication, fair chance that you would have by now either forgotten it completely or maybe partially. So you'll have to first struggle to find that word, then find out the meaning, and then relate it to the sentence that it was used in, and then you will understand, okay, that the sender wanted to say this, or the speaker wanted to say this. So this is not the way to communicate effectively. We would call it communication still, because yes, you've now understood the meaning, but it was not easy for you. So unless the communication is easy for the receiver and for the sender both, we will not call it an effective communication. So for making the communication effective, we need to express and not impress. Even if you have very good vocabulary, even if you have a knowledge of n number of languages, but you need to communicate in the language, in the words that your receiver will be able to understand. Unless that is happening, the efforts that you're putting into the communication will be gone for a toss. Then it is not only the responsibility of the speaker to make communication effective and impressive and expressive, of course. It also depends upon the receiver. So if the receiver is only listening to the message, if suppose I'm teaching you this topic communication, there is somebody who's already aware of all the things, so he'll say that okay, let me not listen to it, because anyways I'm aware of what the teacher has to say. Or maybe there'll be another party who would say that okay, maybe this is something interesting, maybe because it is a topic of electronics, and then we are bringing that topic of electronics into communication, into English or into professional communication, so it could be interesting. And there'll be other people who will say that okay, let me see how well is the teacher conveying the information, or does it have certain good information for me, because I'm already aware of the things. So if you're listening with this kind of an intention, either to listen to only the the portions that you're interested in, or maybe to find out errors in somebody's speech, you will not be making the communication effective. You need to listen to understand and not to reply. But what does this mean? Suppose I tell you to introduce yourself. There are 50 more people in the class. Now, in spite of listening to what the other party has to say, what you will be doing is, back in your mind you'll be phrasing your sentences that, okay, when it is my turn to introduce, I'll be saying these things about myself. Maybe because using those words, I'll be sounding more impressive and expressive. So that is not what is the intention behind making and communication. Yes, you need to apply brains before talking, but when somebody is speaking, you need to only focus on that somebody's speech. You need to listen to that person to understand that person and not to make your response, right? So this is what is meant by listen to understand, not to reply. And of course, yes, we call it hot. Communication has to be always hot. Hot means it has to be honest, open, and two-way. If you're making a single way communication, it would not do. It would, if it is not open, if it closed, again, it'll be very boring. Suppose there's a class that is going on, I am only talking, I'm not taking any feedback from your side, I'm not involving into any kind of interactions with you. It is a close-ended communication, because there's only one party who's talking, who's doing the work, and the other party is only listening. And the first party is least concerned and bothered about whether the second party has understood the concept or not, right? So it always has to be two-way and open. Open would mean there should be a room for discussion, there should be a room for interactions happening, and then only will we call the communication effective. Also, it has to be honest. Honest, not in the literal sense of honesty, but yes, honest with the meaning that the sender should be honest enough to send correct information, the receiver should be honest enough to receive that information and reciprocate it, or to acknowledge it well on time. Suppose I'm sending you a letter. Now, I have no means to know that whether you've received that letter or not. You've read it, and maybe I wanted you to do something, and you have now delayed it. Maybe you thought that, okay, because the sender would not know whether I have received it, so maybe I'll keep it for 2 days with me, and then maybe 2 days after, when I'm free to do this work, I'll reply that yes, I've received it. So this is not being honest. You need to be honest while you're communicating. That is what we understand with the word honest. So communication has to be hot. Hot here would mean H, honest, O, open, two, T, two-way. So it has to be honest, open, and two-way communication. Then only we'll be making an effective communication. Also, having discussed this, now this is the crux, that it must be meaningful to the recipient, not just to ourselves. I have some information, I am well aware of what I'm teaching. If I'm not able to reciprocate it, if I'm not able to make it reach you and make you understand and make you at the same, get you on the same page that I am with on that topic communication, my communication would fail drastically, because my recipient, my audience, did not understand a single thing, or maybe partially they understood it, partially they did not. So still, if it is only a partial understanding, then only I would not, then also I would call it an ineffective communication. So this slide happens to be the crux of making communication. It has to be meaningful, it has to be expressive, it has to be done in a way that the recipient receives it and understands it well. Now, these are the principles of communication. We'll also call them 7Cs. Why 7Cs? Because all the principles that we'll be dealing with will be starting with a C, and we'll be doing 7 of them, therefore 7Cs. So first is clarity. Your speech always has to have some clarity. Speech only does not mean, here does not mean that only the oral part, it also has to be the written thing. So anything that involves words, it should have clarity, clarity of meaning. It should be something that is easy to comprehend. It should not have anything that would make the other party confused. It should not be ambiguous in nature. So it should have all the clarity that the recipient wants. For example, suppose I say that the lecture will not be happening at 9 in the morning. Now I've given you information, but that is not a clear information. Whether will I take the lecture during the day, or has it been cancelled, or even if it is happening at any other time, then what is the time? I have not given you that information. So my message is not clear. I should not be doing this. If I'm saying that the lecture would not happen at 9, I would rather say that yes, it would not happen at 9, maybe I'll take it at 9:55, or it will not happen at all today. Maybe I'll take it some other day of the week. That is a clear message now. You have understood without confusions that yes, the sender wants to convey this. So this is the clarity that the recipient and the sender would seek in the process of communication. Courtesy. It should be courteous. Why courteous? Why is it important? Because see, so whenever you're rude, the other party gets offended, and it could be fair chance that your work, whatever you wanted the other party to do, he would not do that. Because unless you're polite with people, they will not be interested in doing things for you. Suppose now you got your recharge done, and maybe it was a 4G internet data capacity recharge that you did, and the network provider is only giving you 2G signals. You wanted to access internet because one, maybe you were getting bored, you wanted to use it badly. Two, maybe you had something very urgent, important to be done, but because of the speed, you were not able to do that. So you're very, very angry. Now, in that anger, you pick up a phone, you dial the call center of your network provider, and you just give your peace of mind to that particular person, whosoever was on the phone, using very impolite language, and maybe you were abusive as well. Now, the moment you're abusive and you're not using a good, proper parliamentary language, the other party, if the other party also is equally impatient, either he will disconnect the call and then you wasted your time and energy because you were not courteous, or he or she will not try to give you a solution to the problem because you've offended the person. It was ultimately not that particular executive's of mistake that you are not getting signals, it is the company's mistake perhaps. But then you have given your peace of mind to this fellow who's not even in the loop. He's just a service provider. He's just a aid who's providing, who's or maybe who's an intermediary at the intermediary level. He's giving you that information, and you've given all your, the frustration that you have, the anger you had, everything that you'd showered on that poor fellow. Now your work will not be done. Maybe, or maybe he will be least interested in listening to you, and he will pass on that phone to some other person stating that okay, I can't help you, maybe my senior would. And then you'll have to explain all the things to that senior, so it's a waste of time. On the contrary, if I were the person who did that 4G recharge, I'm getting 2G speed, my work that I had to do, because of which I had got my phone recharged, I could not do that. Still, I'm very patient, still, I'm very polite, and I'm talking in a very polite manner with that fellow because I understand that it is not his problem, it is not his mistake, it is that the person is a service provider. He will be listening to what my complaints are, and then he'll try to resolve them. So if I understand that thing, then I'll be courteous, I'll be polite, the other party would also be interested in helping me, and fair chance that my problem will be catered to. So you always have to be very courteous. Now it's a very common example that we keep maybe seeing in a house's day-to-day lives. Suppose there's a maid who's working, and suppose there's a lady in charge, right? And that lady could be anybody, your sister, you, or maybe any other person of the family, not just the lady. But then there's some in charge, some person who's in charge of that maid, and the person is politely telling the maid that okay, you did not clean it here, please clean it here. So this please that you've added to your speech does not do any wrong, any harm to you. But then the moment the maid listens to that, because now that please word has come, she will be, you know with a lot of interest, she'll clean the surface, she'll clean the wherever the dirt and dust was. But if you're rude, you haven't cleaned it there, that's a daily habit that you're doing, you're not cleaning here and you're not cleaning there, you're standing on the head of that maid, she will not do the things in a proper way, not at all will she do it. So this is the power of courtesy. You need to be courteous, you need to be polite in your communication, in your conversation, and you will see that most of the works are done. So courtesy is something that is required. Consideration. Consideration means that you need to step into the shoes of another person, understand the scene scenario, and then try to speak. Suppose I know that my audience is least interested in studying today. It is very, very prominently visible on the face of every student who's sitting across. But I'm still teaching you. Means I am not at all considerate. I am not, though I know that you're not interested, but I have not taken that thing, that cue from you and ignoring it completely. I'm teaching you. Now, because I'm saying that communication has to be done with a motive to express, with a motive to make the other party understand, with a motive that the message should be easily comprehensive, because I'm not paying much of heed to your cues that you're giving to me that you're not interested in studying today. I'm still teaching. Nothing would be there that you will understand. Everything that I say, the time that I'm giving, the energy that I'm putting will be gone for a toss because my audience is not interested and they told me that we're not interested today. In spite of that, I'm teaching them. So I am not considerate enough. You need to understand what your audience wants. Of course, as a faculty, I'll not be able to do that every time because most of the times the students are not in a mood to study, especially when it comes to any of the boring topics or subjects, right? So here, if you're not willing to study every day, I can't really take that cue every day and not teach you. But then, yes, if it is happening once in a blue moon, I can always spare that one lecture, maybe involving you in some activity, maybe that'll change your mood, freshen you up, rejuvenate you, right? That means I'm considerate enough. Now, if you're coming to me with a certain kind of a complaint that, okay, ma'am, I did not understand this topic, and I'm saying that, okay, this is the best possible way that I've done it. I'm not able to make you understand. If I'm not able to make you understand this way, I'll not be able to do that. Maybe you are useless fellow. You don't have any brains. If I show you off like that, means I'm not considerate. I'm not considering your problem. So consideration is something that is required. Consideration would mean that you need to understand your audience first. Unless you understand your audience, know your audience is what we say here. So unless you know your audience, unless you know what your audience wants from you, unless you know what is the way that the audience wants you to communicate, you will not be able to do that. Suppose I am talking and I'm not paying any attention to my audience. Maybe there are people in the audience who don't understand English at all. They're only some other language understanding and speaking people. If ignoring that community that I have, if I have not done that survey of my audience, if I don't know my audience well, I am still giving a lot of efforts into this lecture, everything will be just lost in the thin air because I did not know my audience well before I was making this presentation. So consideration is something that is really important. Also, it would mean, for example, maybe I'm using terms like modem or maybe a modulator or demodulator without knowing that maybe there would be some people who are not aware of these terms, or maybe who've just heard of these terms. They don't know what exactly a modulator or a demodulator does. So if I'm only talking about taking these terms from communication and not explaining the things, I am not being considerate enough. Suppose I have told you that there are 7 C's, 7 principles of communication: clarity, courtesy, consideration, correctness, compactness, etc. And I'm not explaining to you as to what exactly these words means I'm not considerate, means I don't know my own, because means I have not made a good survey of my audience. Didn't know that my audience did not know the meaning of these words, and I've just spoken these words. So you don't have to be doing that. You need to be considerate whenever you're doing or making any kind of communication. Also, correctness is something that is required. The message that you give has to be correct. It should not be an incorrect message that you float across. Compactness. Compactness means it has to be concise. You can always put it as conciseness. So conciseness or compactness will be treated as one. Compactness means wherever you can do with less number of words. Your audience, if is able to understand the things in less number of words, you don't have to put in a lot of words into it. The data that you give has to be compact, right? Concrete means it has to be backed up by solid proofs. It has to be solid. Solid here, concreteness here would mean that the information that you're floating across should not be something that is irrelevant, should not be something receiving which the audience would have in the mind that maybe this is not correct, maybe it is a bluff that the person has made it, maybe it's just a fluke. So it should not be doing that, it should not have that characteristic. What you should have is concreteness. Whatever you're saying, if you know, if you can back that up with a proof, that is what will give concreteness to your communication. So if I'm saying that there are 7 C's, and if I'm able to give you a, maybe a link to some information which would prove that yes, there are only 7 C's that we'll consider as the principles, that means I've given you some concrete information. Suppose I give you a certain gossip today, right? Okay, the most hot topic these days. Suppose I tell you that Anushka Sharma has just delivered a baby boy. Now that's an information that I've given, but it is not concrete till the time I tell you that yes, this is the newspaper that I've come across the information in. Now it becomes concrete. Otherwise, it will be just treated as a gossip, right? So unless you have that information that will back up the information that you're giving to the recipient of the information, unless you are proving it using certain means, you're not giving any concrete information. So the information, the message that you pass on has to be concrete. Okay. Completeness, it should not be incomplete. If you're giving an incomplete message, it would not render clarity, it would not be considerate enough, it would not be treated as correct, it would not be, if even if it is compact, it would not have that kind of clarity, therefore it will be very easily tossed away. Therefore, these are the 7 C's that you need to understand and remember always while you're making a communication. So that this should be all for this lecture. We'll be discussing the evolution of communication as to how and when did it start, what were the progress that we did, what were the developments that happened, and where are we when we call it communication as a process today. Thank you so much. I hope you've understood each and every slide that I discussed during this video lecture. If you have any doubts, keep them noted. We'll discuss them. Thank you so much.